The mayor of Jennings is fighting to keep her job. An impeachment hearing resumed this afternoon for Mayor Yolanda Fountain Henderson. News 4's Rob Sneed is live at the Jennings Municipal Court, where he spoke to the mayor today. And Rob, what'd she have to say? Thank you. News 4 is working to get more information after a person was struck by a Metrolink train in the Metro East. It happened just before 7 last night at the station in Swansea, Illinois. Police aren't talking about how the victim was struck or the extent of any injuries. Trains were delayed for a short time while investigators were on the scene. Crime Stoppers is offering a reward to find an armed bank robber. Take a look at these surveillance pictures. They show a man who robbed the Pulaski Bank in Afton on Thursday. Police say the suspect was carrying a pink semi-automatic handgun. Anyone with information leading to an arrest in this case is eligible for a $1,000 reward. Just call or text your tip to Crime Stoppers. A third man is going to prison for stealing guns from a Wentzville pawn shop. Yesterday, 23-year-old Eugene Davis was sentenced to more than 7 years in prison for the theft at All-Star Pawn Shop in Wentzville. Prosecutors say Davis and 2 others broke into the shop and stole 33 guns back in October of 2014. 4 candidates are in the running to become the new police chief in Ferguson. Mark Becker is the police chief in East Chicago, Indiana. He worked for the FBI before taking over 2 different police departments in Indiana. Brenda Jones is the former police chief in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. She's now working as a behavioral specialist. Delrish Moss is a supervisor with the Miami Police Department. He has family in the St. Louis area. And the 4th candidate is Berkeley Police Chief Frank McCall Jr. We've talked to Chief McCall in the past about his department's use of body cameras.
With these cameras, those questions can be quickly answered, and you can be put at ease yourself as well as your community that you're serving. Every citizen contact, regardless of how minute it might be, these cameras should be activated. Policing now is a lot harder than what it used to be. And so officers welcome any tool that's going to make their job easier, that's going to renew the trust that the citizens need to have in law enforcement.
The city of Ferguson is expected to make a final decision in early April. Crews are making final preparations to demolish part of the Daniel Boone Bridge on Monday morning. Today, 2 westbound lanes of Highway 40 are closed near the bridge while crews finish their prep work. All lanes of Highway 40 near the bridge will close for about an hour and a half on Monday. The demolition should happen sometime around 9:45 a.m. Crews with the Metropolitan Sewer District have finished emergency repairs to a blocked sewer main that was pouring into the River des Peres. This is just south of Interstate 55 at Germania and Prim Street. MSD says the repairs are complete and now crews are cleaning up that site. We are getting a nice taste of spring weather in the St. Louis area this weekend. Let's get our first check of the forecast with meteorologist Megan Danahay. And Megan, beautiful day out there. Now to the latest in the race for the White House. Voters in 5 states are making their choices in presidential caucuses and primaries today. That includes Kansas, where the Republican Party is holding a special caucus here in St. Louis for basketball fans attending the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. The Kansas GOP set up a caucus site at the Westin Hotel in downtown St. Louis. That's so Wichita State fans could cast their ballots. Democrats are also caucusing in Kansas today, but their party rules don't allow for a caucus in another state. The results are in for the Republican caucus in Kansas. Craig Boswell has more on the winner and what's at stake in the other states today. More than 400 volunteers are stepping up to help children with cancer. They had their heads shaved today for the St. Baldrick's Foundation. The annual event at Helen Fitzgerald raises money for children's cancer research. Organizers are hoping to raise nearly $500,000 from today's event. Shriners Hospital in St. Louis helps children from across the region. All this month, News 4 is sharing the stories of workers and patients at Shriners Hospital. Tonight, Steve Harris introduces us to a nurse who's been helping sick children for more than 3 decades. And Megan, they do great work over there at Shriners, and March 31st, once again, will be an all-day telethon to help them out. Yeah, so another fantastic thing was the weather today.
The weekend.
Really good.
We're getting the weekends right lately.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
I have
that
noticed
the bad
that.
weather's
and
coming.
I'm here. And I'm here working, but it's
sorry.
okay. It's all right.
It doesn't work, does it?
No, it doesn't work.
Well, it's been a gorgeous day, and we'll have another nice day tomorrow.
Someday in the near future, we might have a team in this area even come
Maybe.
close to such a thing.
Hey, SLU women's, they might make it. They're a bubble team.
They could.
Yeah.
On the men's side, we got nothing.
No,
we got absolutely nothing.
No. It's my favorite time of the year. You a college hoops fan?
I love it, yes.
Love college basketball?
March Madness.
I know you like it.
Oh,
Mizzou
sure.
is doing well.
Yeah,
and
not-
all the
not such a
local
good year
teams.
for
The
the
local
Tigers,
teams.
sure.
Right? All right. Well, thanks for joining us for News 4 at 6. We'll be back tonight at 10. We'll see you then. dozen people have died in flash flooding in Missouri and Illinois this weekend. Good evening, I'm Corey Stark. St. Charles County is under a state of emergency tonight because of the ongoing threat of flash flooding. The high water has already forced crews to close several roads in St. Peters and other parts of the county. Officials say they are expecting more problems with the additional heavy rainfall over the next day or so. Those closures include Interstate 70 in both directions at Highway 79. Take a look. This is a live view of the closure from the MoDOT camera at Mid-Rivers Mall Drive. Officials are urging drivers to avoid this area. And as we mentioned, the flash flooding has turned deadly outside of the St. Louis area. 5 are dead in the city of Patoka in Marion County, Illinois. That's just 60 miles east of St. Louis. The Marion County coroner says 3 adults and 2 children were swept away in a rain-swollen creek. A firefighter made it to the car, but it sunk before he could pull them out. The victims were driving from Kentucky to Minnesota. And 6 are dead in Pulaski County, Missouri, west of Rolla. The sheriff reporting that 2 victims were killed while riding in one car and another 4 killed while in another vehicle. A 5th person is still missing. The sheriff points out it was dark and the victims may not have seen the high water. And there is 1 death reported in Greene County, Missouri. That's near Springfield, bringing the total dead due to flash flooding in Missouri and Illinois to 12. Kristen Cornett has been watching this storm all weekend and warning of the dangers driving through flooded roadways. She is in the Forewarned Storm Center. Kristen, as we mentioned, due to major flooding in St. Charles County, the area is under a state of emergency. We continue our coverage with News 4's Alexis Soto. She is live along Interstate 70. Alexis? And the Metropolitan Sewer District has activated its emergency operations to deal with the ongoing rain and flooding. That means the flood walls along the Mississippi River have been moved into place. MSD is also taking other precautions. This afternoon, a scuba diver went into the storm sewer at Hall and Riverview to plug the drain and prevent future flooding.
Right now, it's not at 35 feet, so we have to go in, put an actual plug into the storm sewer to make sure that the river doesn't back up through the system and then go over Riverview.
Got a foot dead.
MSD officials say this is a routine procedure they do whenever there is heavy rain to prevent flooding from the Mississippi River. Flooding is also a problem for many residents in the Metro East from Granite City to Troy, Illinois. Residents in Choteau Township in Granite City are keeping a close eye as floodwater rises in their neighborhood. It's a scene playing out in several Metro East communities. The floodwaters also shut down a section of Highway 40 from Troy to St. Jacob. And the Red Cross is opening emergency shelters in St. Charles and Jefferson counties. The shelters provide a dry, warm space with food and bedding for those who have nowhere else to go.
The first thing when somebody gets evacuated, the best place to go is either family or friends. But if they don't have a safe place to stay, that's where the American Red Cross can help. So we've got shelters that we've identified all throughout St. Louis, so we can open up a shelter within 2 hours.
Erickson says residents can get the locations of any shelters by calling local police. And remember, one way to stay on top of the changing weather situation is to download the KMOV weather app. You can find it for free in your phone's app store. It will provide you with up-to-the-minute forecast and alerts any time of the day or night. Next on News 4, a man and a child are okay after a swift water rescue in Wildwood. Coming up, what rescuers are saying about a very close call. Plus, a South St. Louis street is damaged after some kind of underground explosion. More on what may have caused that blast after the break.
There's kids that would come to my place to just be safe. And now that place is gone.
The man at the center of a human trafficking investigation talks to News 4 about the allegations against him. Plus, a deadly shooting along a local interstate. Why the Major K Squad was called in to handle the investigation. And we are learning new information tonight about the man accused of shooting people at random in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Rumor, yes, snow back in the forecast. I'll have the details on when and how much.
Live from KMOV, this is News 4 at 10.
Good evening, I'm Corey Stark. The man at the center of a human trafficking investigation is now speaking out about the allegations against him. The Dojo Pizza shop in the Bevo neighborhood of South St. Louis was raided by St. Louis police and federal agents 4 months ago. I sat down with Dojo Pizza's owner, Lauren Kopp, to hear his side of the story.
There's kids that would come to my place to just be safe. And now that place is gone.
That place was this old church, which housed a school for kids, karate classes, the Dojo Pizza Shop, and an apartment where Kopp lived. In October, that building was condemned. Building inspectors said the building was not safe. Meanwhile, St. Louis police were doing their own investigation, telling News 4 the building was the site of a human trafficking ring and that 7 girls under the age of 17 were being housed there.
There wasn't 7 kids. There were 4. Somebody's out here trying to make something.
Kopp was arrested. Then he says police told him warrants were being applied for on child endangering charges. However, Kopp has still not been charged. But why were 4 girls ages 17, 14, 13, and 9 living in the building? He says he was helping families from the neighborhood who were dealing with drug addictions and financial problems. Kopp says he has durable power of attorney for the 4 children staying with him.
They had their bedrooms, they had their beds, they had place to take showers, they stayed in the building. 3 of them went to the school that we had there, the other one was going into the public school system. And I don't see why that's so hard to comprehend in a town that when you're out on the street, everybody has street moms, dads, uncles. You live in the city and you find out family goes beyond blood.
Why not get them involved in a legal foster care system?
You know, at the time when we were dealing in this situation, it wasn't supposed to be that long. There's a stigma about, you know, a lot of parents have a hard time. I'll tell you just what we're going through in family court right now, you know, is it's hard on these mothers when they get in there and these people start taking your kids from you.
I asked Kopp if the girls were forced to work in the pizza shop.
Nobody was forced to work. Nobody was made to go down there. The girls got to learn things. I would bring people in, they would teach them how to wait tables. The girls got to keep the tip money.
While Kopp is not the biological father to any of the girls, he says he is a father figure to them. The older brother of 2 of the girls, who also stayed with Kopp for 8 months, agrees.
Him being a father figure in our lives, because like he taught me everything I know today.
The girls are now in the foster care system, but Kopp is not giving up his fight.
A guilty man would run. I sit here 4 months later, trying to figure out how to get the girls back out, trying to find a way to get back into the community and work with them, because I haven't human trafficked nobody.
The St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office did release a statement about this case saying, quote, "The matter is currently under investigation. If anyone has information regarding this matter, they should contact police." News 4 will continue to follow any developments in this story. We are following new information on the search for the gunman who opened fire on Interstate 270 overnight. 1 woman was killed, 3 other people were injured. News 4's Alexis Sotos has been tracking the major case investigation. She joins us live from the newsroom. Alexis? Friends and family members take time today to honor a local murder victim. They came together for this memorial balloon release for Whitney Brown. She was shot and killed 6 months ago in North City along with Devin Fletcher. Brown's 5-year-old son witnessed the crime. Police have not made any arrests in connections with the killings.
Witnesses are very scared to come forward, and we're just begging and pleading with them. You know, if it was your family, what would you want someone to do?
Anyone with information on this case should call St. Louis Police or Crime Stoppers. Tonight, St. Louis Police are investigating a robbery outside the Lumiere Casino. Police say a woman was robbed on the 3rd level of the parking garage at around 2 o'clock this morning. We're told the suspect tried to get away by jumping from the parking garage about 50 feet to the ground. He was injured in that jump and taken to the hospital for treatment. Police are checking the casino surveillance video as they continue their investigation. And in Illinois, police at SIU Edwardsville are still searching for the man who attacked a woman on campus late last week. Authorities say the attack happened around 8 o'clock Thursday night. The woman says a man grabbed her on the bike path on campus. Police say the woman fought back and the suspect ran off. Officers are urging students to remain on alert. Temperatures are dropping in the St. Louis area, and it looks like we could see some wintry weather this week. Let's get our first check of the forecast with meteorologist Kristen Cornett. Kristen, thank you. It will soon be a little easier to get around in parts of Maplewood. After months of construction delays, all lanes of Southwest Avenue between McCausland and Bellevue will reopen tomorrow. Crews with the Metropolitan Sewer District have been working since last April to replace sewer lines. The project was supposed to be finished last summer, but was delayed by bad weather and construction issues. Still ahead on News 4 at 10, new developments in the deadly shooting spree in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're learning more about the suspect who police say drove around shooting people at random in parking lots. Plus, help is on the way after a powerful cyclone hits the Fiji Islands. Coming up, what meteorologists are saying about the strength of the storm. And a local 5th grader is doing her part to help children in need. Those stories and more just ahead on News 4 at 10.
Following breaking news tonight in the Metro East, where human skeletal remains were found by children along a creek in rural Macoupin County. Good evening, I'm Steve Savard.
And I'm Courtney Bryant. Alyssa Reitmeyer is on maternity leave. The major case squad has been activated for the homicide investigation. News 4's Corey Stark is live in Edwardsville with the very latest on the investigation. Corey.
Well, Courtney, 14 investigators with the major case squad are just wrapping up here tonight at the Madison County Sheriff's Department. But as you mentioned, these human remains were found in rural Macoupin County. Want to give you a better idea to where, just outside of Bunker Hill on Illinois Route 159. Now, this is video we just got into the newsroom from the scene. You can see police are out on the scene conducting their investigation. And investigators say around 3:30 this afternoon, children playing around along a creek line discovered the remains and then went to tell their parents. Evidence at the scene has investigators ruling this a homicide, and it's believed, based on the condition of the body, the homicide could have happened 3 or more years ago.
It could be a male or a female. It is completely skeletalized, the remains, and there's no way to know at this point in time if it is a male or female. Obviously, we're going to have to do some forensic examination. It's going to take some time to identify this potential victim.
Major case will continue their investigation tomorrow morning from the Bunker Hill Police Department. Of course, News 4 will continue to stay on top of this breaking news story. Have the very latest on News 4 this morning, starting at 4 a.m. We're live tonight at Edwardsville. Corey Stark, News 4.
Violent attacks on women in a South City park have police on alert tonight. Good evening, I'm Steve Savard.
And I'm Courtney Bryant. Alyssa Reitmeyer is on maternity leave. In the most recent case, a woman jogging through Tower Grove Park was knocked down and robbed.
News 4's Corey Stark has been talking with police and park officials about their safety plans. He joins us live from Tower Grove Park. Corey.
Well, Steve, within the last week, there have been 2 attacks, one in the middle of the park, the other on the outer edge of the park. And Tower Grove Park officials tell me it's been 2 years since an attack like this has happened inside the park. Now they're stepping up patrols. Hundreds of people visit Tower Grove Park every day. On Sunday morning at 8 a.m., police say a woman was running on a trail through the park when a man wearing a dark-colored jacket and baggy pants approached her from behind, knocked her down, and went through her jacket pockets.
That's really scary. It's definitely something I'm aware that happens. I try to be smart when I run.
The woman was not hurt and the suspect ran away. On Wednesday morning of last week, a similar situation, a woman waiting at this bus stop adjacent to the park, attacked from behind by a man wearing lime green shoes. He grabbed her jacket and got her cell phone. Medical crews had to treat her for breathing issues.
It definitely reminds you that you're not always safe and kind of keep your guard up no matter where you are.
Honestly, I think South Grant's come a long way. However, we still have a long way to go. So I think joggers, runners, anybody that's out by themselves should definitely be conscious of it.
St. Louis police tell me they are stepping up patrols in and around the park, and Tower Grove Park officials gave me this statement saying, public safety is our utmost concern for Tower Grove Park. The quick response to this issue demonstrates the collaboration between the city police department and Tower Grove Park's ranger staff. And there is a park ranger patrolling the park 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I asked police if these 2 incidents were connected. They say that's still under investigation, but the description of the suspects from both incidents seem to be a little bit different, but they're certainly not ruling that out. We're live tonight, Corey Stark, News 4.
Local daycare that was shut down by the state after a 3-year-old was left alone in the bus for 7 hours is now trying to reopen. Good evening, I'm Steve Savard.
And I'm Courtney Bryant in for Alyssa Reitmeyer. News 4 broke the news last month that GSL Development Center would be forced to close its doors.
News 4's Corey Stark is getting new details about their appeal. Corey.
Well, Steve, I'm told by state officials that GSL has appealed the immediate suspension of their license, and a hearing has been held. A decision on that appeal would be made by a hearings officer. Today, I also checked in with the family of 3-year-old Dallas. They tell me that even a month after this incident, Dallas is still having a tough time. 3-year-old Dallas is a happy kid, but his grandmother, Shanika Jones, tells me he's been different since he was left on a daycare bus alone for 7 hours.
He's been scared to be by himself. It's like he wants someone around him at all times. At nighttime, he wakes up and having nightmares, and he still brings up that day.
The family tells me they did find another daycare for Dallas and got money back from GSL that they had already paid in tuition. Now the focus is making Dallas feel like he's not alone.
We've been trying to work on making him feel safe.
The doors are still locked here at GSL Developmental Center as they await to hear back from the state on their appeal. But the family of 3-year-old Dallas has their own opinion on that appeal.
I think they made a good decision, and I hope they stick with it.
Jones says she still can't understand how a daycare can leave a child on a bus all day, not once, but twice. Another thing she can't understand, she's got no apology.
Nothing. Nothing at all.
News 4 hasn't heard from GSL either. I'll let you know when a decision is made about the appeal. Corey Stark, News 4.